Hello, you out there in YouTube universe. This is Through a Therapist's Eyes, YouTube live on Thursday nights. We usually go about 6:30 or so, but we're firing up a little early today. If you're finding us for the first time, we do this before we turn the mic lives for the program or the recording rather you'll hear on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and whatnot. So we have Mr. John Pope hanging out with us today.
Good to be here.
And a void to his right. We have no Victoria today, and we didn't get our backup Carrie. She was lined up, and then she had to get unlined. So it is just John and I. Yeah, we almost had Carrie.
It's people who count.
It's just busy. Yes, indeed. The people that count are here. Listen, we're going to be talking about acceptance paired with cheerleading, and it's an interesting conversation. I'm really curious, John, where our conversation will go on all this because it's a topic we deal with in therapy, but I used words, particularly cheerleading, that's like not exactly a therapy term, is it?
No, in fact, that's what when I thought you came up with this, I thought, what's this cheerleading? What's this about? And I started thinking about Ricky, the song Ricky with the cheerleaders at that time.
I know 80s. You want to sing it. Just do it.
Oh, Ricky, you're so fine. You're so fine. You're on my mind. Hey, Ricky.
You know what's funny? I can't sing in public, man. Yeah. I get all shy.
Yeah.
Although when I do my PESI presentation, my day-long conference, I actually sing the opening because I can't get the copyright to use the song.
Oh my goodness.
So I sing Broken Wings in front of people. That's like a big step for me, man.
Here, the broken
Take
wings.
my broken wings. You'll learn to fly again, learn to live and love so free. Yeah, it's an awesome song, man.
That's right.
All right, so now you got me singing.
There you go.
That means we need to get going. Whenever you're ready, Neil, we will fire up. Hello, this is Through a Therapist's Eyes. I am your founder, and this is January, July. What is this? I don't even know. 27? No, 17. There's a 7. This is July the 17th, 2025?
Right.
Boy, I'm now lined up in the right spot.
In the year 2525.
So we are going to be talking today about acceptance paired with cheerleading. And I'm going to ask you to think about these 3 questions while we go through and chat about acceptance. Interesting word, cheerleading, but we'll get into it. When someone accepted you without judgment, how did that affect you? That's a powerful moment if you've ever hopefully experienced it. You may not have. Secondly, how you ever received encouragement that felt too soon or dismissive of what you were going through. And then thirdly, how do you balance offering empathy with inspirational change in your own relationship? So those are some of the things that we'll kind of angle in on at today. And what else do I need to say? So this is Tate Through a Therapist's Eyes. Tate. I lost that battle a long time ago. I thought T-Eyes was way better. You remember that, Neil? He shakes his head. I lost, man.
I think of potato with Tate.
With Tate potato? Why?
I don't know.
What is that? Like tater tot? What?
Tater tot.
Through a Therapist's Eyes, where you gain insights from a panel of therapists in your home or car, but knowing it's not delivering therapy services in any way. I have the books that are out. I do like to highlight those. I probably don't do that enough. I'm too humble about it. Through a Therapist's Eyes, one on marriage, one on yourself, and they're awesome books. Real therapy moments that were generated into short chapters that I created, short reads that are good pieces of information.
Almost like a devotional.
It is. I call it the toilet book. You go to the John and you read a nice piece.
And I try to elevate it for you.
Thank you, John.
Make it like guideposts.
Appreciate your guideposts. My grandma read guideposts when I was a kid all the time. That was good. That was good material. They still have that?
They still have that.
They really do?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, we provide content for you that we hopefully entertain you. We definitely wanted to misspell myths and stereotypes and disseminate information about mental health. That's our jam. That's our passion. That's our goal. And we hope that you follow along with us. But your job is to click, subscribe, post, comment, and please, you got to tell a friend. So this is your part in the journey that we grow. Fair?
And review us. And I think if you review us on Apple, I think that'll help increase our traffic.
This is the first time I didn't hear you jump on 5 stars.
5 stars.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know. It's a thing.
I was trying to sound like Victoria. So.
You're doing a great job. Contact at throughtherapisteyes.com is where you contact with us and engage with us. This is the human emotional experience, which we do endeavor to figure out together. So, with that all being said, and without further ado, I have a current event that I want to get into. And Neil, I'm really curious about your view on this. The tech guy with us here. Do you call yourself the full tech guy? Or are you like a tech specialist or just an email specialist, Neil? Give us your quantification of all your skills.
I've been in IT for 20 plus years, so I've been all over the place from administration to just emails now. So I'm more focused now than I was before, but even still emails entrench themselves in so much. So no, I'm a IT guy is what I call myself.
He is the most qualified person in the room to understand this current event, John.
Yes, I would say so.
maybe not. What do you know about Grok 4, Neil?
It's the next iteration of the AI that, Musk and all them created. So you have Gemini from Google, you have Copilot with Microsoft, and there's Grok, which is, Twitter X Musk's AI stuff. So just the next version, just like GPT-4 and all those. It's just the next iteration, bigger, better, stronger, faster, all those things.
So on the month in review shows, if you're catching us live or seeing us, we do at the end of the month a review of the shows that we did for that month. We have something that we call going down the rabbit hole with Adam.
Jefferson Starship was.
I have gone down major Jefferson Starship rabbit holes with this lately. I have found YouTube as a wonderful way to fall asleep too, which is very bad because it keeps me up with interesting things. So I have become alarmed, concerned, fascinated, and just in awe of what we are literally experiencing. Now, I get the clickbait stuff on YouTube probably is what gets me going a little bit with this, but this is kind of like a big deal. Excuse me. So, yes, Neil, have you looked at Grok 4 or you know much more about it than that? Because I watched Elon's presentation of the progress with their version of AI, and I was like, kind of just like in awe of what he's describing.
Now, and catch me up on this a little bit, because one of the things that I read, and I did not get this from AI, was the large language models that are used for this, and that it is kind of it can appear as sentient when in fact it's not at all that way, and that.
Yeah, let me catch you up a little bit on this, and it's a brief 101 from a therapist, so take that for what it's worth, but I have gone down a rabbit hole, and I have learned about this a little bit. So basically, you got computers. All right, great. We all know that. We all know how they work. We all use them pretty much, really, for most everything we do. Laptops and phones are basically little computers. So we have computing, and we have strong computing, but the progression of this stuff has happened so fast. So this big issue with AI is for about 20, 30 years, we've said we're about 10, 15 years away from AI, artificial intelligence. But there's different forms, different facets, different progressions, and as you say, Neil, iterations of how this works. The most recent AI that we've gotten are these large language models. Now, everyone knows ChatGPT, Gemini. There's multiple models, and it's come on the market like that fast with all these. Once you got one, you got like 5, right? It's kind of wild. Well, artificial intelligence is very broad. You have what we know of as pretty basic, super hopped up Google search AI. It's amazing. They could talk to you. They could take a look at pictures and tell you about it. But we're moving rather rapidly to artificial, what is it called? Just blanked. Artificial general intelligence, AGI. That is not a large language model. That is a strong progression where the computer is not doing what it currently does. Right now, it reflects what you give it, and it helps to give you information that it reads on the internet, and it basically can read everything on the internet.
All at once.
All at once. So it's an amazing resource. I use it in various ways now. It makes humans way more productive. Artificial general intelligence doesn't even need the internet. It begins to process and think for itself. And then you get artificial super intelligence, where it's the super being kind of.
So we're Skynet.
We are moving. to Skynet. My neighbor
Okay.
has made the joke that is not a movie, is a documentary, and it's looking like that. So what just dropped with Grok 4, and there's a whole point to this, so I won't tune out because there's psychological, emotional reality here, big time. Grok 4 is Elon Musk's, like Neil just described, next iteration of kind of the same stuff, although it's super, super hopped up. It is gotten now, and it's already dropped like last week, brand new stuff. And it will take any test in academia, John, that you're a pretty high-level expert, frankly, in our psychology field. You really are, and I mean that as a compliment.
Thank you.
This thing would smoke you in everything that you know. And you can get your colleagues to come around and try to take an SAT, and it will perform you.
What is scary, though, is that it comes up, maybe I'm wrong, but it maybe manufactures references and articles, journal articles.
You're talking about hallucinations, and that's a factor where we have imperfections. But right now, we have just dropped where they have decreased hallucinations to like 5% or 4% of the stuff, and it's not going to do nothing but get better. But right now, it will take Grok 4, Grok, from Elon Musk's X group or whatever, any test you want to take on all disciplines, bar none, way better on performance than any human could imagine being possible. It basically knows everything.
So we're obsolete.
We are becoming obsolete as working professionals. And that's just with Grok 4's large language model, super strong large language model. When we get AGI, which is really, really on the brink, they're talking about this year, like this being, now this is clickbait from YouTube, mind you, but this is the last normal year of functioning when we're going to have computers in 2026 or 2027 that are creating new alloys, creating new science, making new physics, identifying new physics laws, getting into humanity and humanistics on high level. It is going to revolutionize all industries.
Part of that also is quantum computing.
Quantum computing, quantum physics, all disciplines. This is going crazy level high. And when you get artificial general intelligence, the step to super intelligence is super fast because there's an arc that goes really fast in development. You see this going from
hockey stick
radios. We see this going from radios to microwaves to TVs to the internet.
It goes back to 1947 to Roswell, New Mexico, to the crash.
Trying to be all serious, Neil, and he's blowing this up.
Well, no, I am.
It does, though.
Yeah,
to a certain extent. Maybe we got an alien craft, but
Uh-huh.
here's my thing, John. As you think about the implications of all of this, we need to be a little bit brief, but because we could do a whole show on this. We've done that before. Maybe we do that, and we just change gears. But what are the emotional impacts of this? I mean,
I think the whole
my
purpose
gosh.
we have to have meaning and purpose in our lives. I
Right.
think, in other words, we're going to be put into the zoo to be observed. I mean, it's basically what I'm hearing is that or what I'm imagining is that if we don't have a purpose, how do we progress? How do we live? How do we function?
So of all people, I heard Joe Rogan and Bernie Sanders in a dynamic conversation I would refer you to, honestly. Whether you feel about Bernie Sanders or whatever, I'm not a big fan.
Or Joe.
Or Joe, for that matter, as well, yes. The reality of it is they had a conversation about the realities of this progressing. For instance, right now, real time, we're not talking in the future, there really isn't a need for trucking. Trucking is now automated. Computer runs the 24-hour trucking industry. And when companies begin to see this and it begins to progress and become more safe and all that, this year, there is no job for truckers, for example. There's no need for it. We're much more profitable paying a computer to drive the truck 24 hours a day wherever we want to send it than we are paying people
Loaded,
in their
unloaded,
limited ability.
Computers, robots, loading.
Driving trains, driving planes, driving boats, shipping. That's just one industry. They're coming for us, John.
Right. You know, there was a Saturday Night Live a skit about having and it was a funeral that was being held, and they were talking about progression in the funeral, and so the minister was up there, and it talked about the minister had to get called away, and so he had a little robot or a little speaker that had a recording, and then they had in the congregation or in the sanctuary during this funeral. There were people, and then the next it cuts away, and then there's a bunch of little boxes, little speakers that are there, and people are listening. This was like 35 years ago or 40 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So in other words,
We've imagined this.
We've imagined this already, and it seems to me that
it's here.
It's here. It's here, and so it's going to be revolutionary, evidently. And of course, there's the warfare now done by drones. Basically,
Drones.
yeah.
The psychological implications is what I'm after. So we're going to make a decision here in a couple of minutes. Do we stay and just riff on this topic and change the title for the show, which we can do before we make that decision? Neil, anything that I said, was I on point? The tech brain that you have and things that you know about? I mean, I'm sure that you're dialed in to some extent. How did I do?
I think you did pretty good. I think the one thing you have to think about too is the more we get AI involved in our life, the stupider we get. And I'll just be blunt about that one.
For real?
I mean, I've worked with I have a friend of mine who did his own company. He's now a CTO somewhere. He's really doing really well. And what you find is that the more you start relying on the robots, the AI, the less likely you actually participate and think and use your own brain. So,
And I would agree with you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. No.
There's some empirical studies already of students that have been writing papers with AI, and they can't recall within 5 minutes what they supposedly wrote.
Yeah, academia is crazy.
Well,
with this,
there's another part that I saw a different study too, where they talked about they had people like they used ChatGPT and they had told them to write something, a paper. I don't remember exactly what it was. And those that had used ChatGPT wrote worse. But then they also did a thing where, like, they had someone say they used ChatGPT to create prompts, and they did better writing when ChatGPT gave them prompts. But the next day, or the next time they tried to do it, because they didn't have ChatGPT giving them the prompts, they couldn't even figure out a topic to write. So it goes back to the same thing.
And that's another thing is somebody tries to fool the professor or the teacher because there's no grammatical errors except perhaps kind of wordiness, word
Right.
salad, but is to put in deliberate grammatical errors into the
really?
paper. Yeah.
to make it more
Yeah.
in my line, which
Yeah.
my dictation is terrible, so make me right.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
So going back to the thing, the concern is not that AI is getting smarter, which I've also seen something where AI is actually put like a programmer will ask the AI to create like code for something they need to do. Well, they looked at the code deeper and they found like a backdoor for the AI to get back in later or something so it doesn't get deleted. Like there's little stuff that's starting to get put in there. But so not only is
by the computer?
by the computer, right?
Yeah.
Because it says, give me this code for this system or this thing. And if you don't review it, they just would somehow put that thing in there, right? Now, the question is, once again, if AI gets smarter or better and we don't advance or stay up to it too, we get dumber and dumber. That becomes a recipe for disaster when technology can take over, right?
That was a Star Trek thing.
Episode.
Episode, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was in the original series. But I think that for me is I listened to Mike Rowe. Have you know Dirty Jobs?
No.
The guy that does Dirty Jobs. It was on Discovery Channel,
Okay.
Science, several years, and they do all sorts of physical work, that sort of thing, and people doing jobs that people don't like to do. And Mike Rowe said, there's going to be a need for more skilled work to be able to do the mining and things of this sort, and that coders and then people that do coding are going to be obsolete. And,
So we need to make a decision. We're already 17 minutes in, and I think that
Okay.
we can maybe riff on this topic and stay with
Yeah,
it because
let's riff on
it's unprepared but real and genuine in the moment. Do we want to stay with this or do we want to get to
I'm cool with
acceptance?
I'm cool doing this. Do you want to?
I don't know. Do you want to do some more research and come back with it? Because I think there's a lot more to this that while we can riff on it, do we really have the backing behind some of the stuff to figure
Yeah,
out the next
yes.
steps?
Spoken as a true computer.
Yes, we do, Neil. And the
IT
reason
person.
Yes, we do, Neil. And the reason why I say that is because we don't have any research on the psychological and emotional impacts of this. There's nothing. This is a complete novel idea.
Well,
This is a reality
It's kind
that's
of think
coming.
about social media. What 20 years ago when it came out, right? Those first couple years,
Right.
that craziness, and now we're starting to see some of the impact now. So we're in that same phase.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
social media 20 years ago, AI now.
But it's so fast. That's what's tripping my brain out about this topic.
Well, okay, and I know we need to move
Well,
on.
I think I want to stay with this because we're already pretty far in.
Okay, here's an observation. I just had two of my clients yesterday, and both of them talked about they can't keep up. They
Yeah.
do social media, and they are always anxious. They cannot not be anxious. And they say, I don't have time to rest. I don't have time to just take a deep breath and they get drawn back into doing the social media. And one of the issues is that they have had issues with their spouses, and they've engaged in sexting and that sort of thing, and have emotional affairs, and it's like they're just at the end of their tether, at the end of the rope.
Yeah, I mean, John, this is where, I get fascinated with this computing progression. I get fascinated with, tech a little bit. I'm not good at it, but I like to think about it, and I've been watching it.
You've
and
waxed philosophical about it.
I am very philosophical about all of this because, my goodness, this is profound. Yes, and we see it on our therapy office. The impacts of social media is the best way to talk about.
They're
the
harried. That's a good way for me to describe them. They're harried.
What do you mean?
They're always hurried. They always feel like they have things left undone. They feel like they have they're not on solid ground. They feel like everything's shifting and changing so fast, and they can't keep up. And that's why they are on medication. That's why they're on. They just don't have the time to restore themselves, to get the rest,
to be balanced,
to be balanced,
have balance
no,
of boundaries,
no. Nothing's,
to be grounded, to have mindfulness, to use some of our clinical words, right?
Right.
How do you have mindfulness in the light of something that's completely, profoundly changing the humanity experience?
Change the way,
right?
Yeah. Change
fundamentally.
And change. What makes us human is an issue that I have. Is that if we lose our ability to be creative, and our ability, because Neil has said it, makes us dumber in some ways. If what is the essence for our purpose, we've lost a fundamental component
that we've always, permanent word, meant had, always. So in this conversation with Joe Rogan and Bernie Sanders, they were talking about the trucking stuff and the different factors. And, Bernie's thing is how can we manage the technology advances to better humanity, to help us, to serve us. And one of the things that's floated is like 20-hour work weeks. You're so much more productive with AI and whatnot, and they're going to do the jobs. So, but we still need humans to do it and to work with and whatnot, but maybe we literally have decreased hours to where, can you remember when we actually worked 40, 50 hours a week? That's what we're going to be saying in 10 years, even 5 years, because the revolutionary changes are really rapidly hitting us.
Do you think, in terms of people that are hardwired to be ADHD, for example.
Okay.
They're going to have problems.
Golly, I
Yeah.
didn't think about that, John.
Yeah.
But that's some of the nuance
They're
of
going
like
to get
what we're
bored as hell.
facing.
Excuse my language. Bored as hell.
Yeah, completely bored.
Restless. Are we going to see an increase in uptick crime?
Crime and violence.
Or are we going to have some sort of soma, some sort of medicine that would decrease that overweening anxiety that's generated?
But think about the reality. So Joe and Bernie weren't able to get to is any kind of conclusivity about how do we manage our passion, our purpose? How do we manage, what we've always had working, our identity, if we don't have to work? There's actually floated ideas of universal income so that we all, get corporation
That's
money.
Bernie. That's been floating around for.
It has, but now it has a reason. It doesn't sound crazy if the context is there are no jobs.
Right.
There's no need for teachers. There's no need for doctors. There's no need for lawyers. You're going to go to a financial consultant when you have a superpower computer to tell you what investments are best. I mean, this is what I mean when I think about society and societal ramifications. I mean, there's no more power expense because we have figured out how to do fusion. We've been elusively looking for, and all the.
I would like to see us do fusion. I would like to see that happen, but I think so far it's eluded us.
Well, the computers literally, John, in 2 years when we graduate to these general intelligence.
Now you come up with these numbers, and I'm challenging you a little bit on this. You come up with these numbers in 2 years. 2 years. We've been talking about cold fusion or just regular fusion for the last 30, 40 years since late 1980s.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a process. And I know that you'd have computing models that you could do this, but do you have to have the amount of heat, develop some sort of device, engineer it using AI, for example, that would be able to make a containment area to put the plasma in, to contain the plasma,
all of that
with the computer, and so it'd have to have those design specs and things. I think you still have to have people.
You definitely still have to people, but I think what I'm getting at, John, is the idea that much more rapidly than what I think hardly any human realizes, it seems to be on us. It is here. It is already being experienced with everyone's experience with ChatGPT, which is basic, guys. It's so simple. This is not a complex computing ChatGPT. It's very, very simple compared to what's about to hit.
Okay, here's another thing. All these computer farms, these farms that are to generate energy, I don't hear people on the far left, for example, complaining about the environment, or Greenpeace complaining about the energy that would cause global warming and heating.
Okay.
Because it's going to produce a lot of heating in our environment. So is there a point where, am I wrong on that, Neil?
No, Kingdom.
Okay.
He just grabbed the mic. He's not jumping at you.
So my question is, we could be hypocritical about this as well, in terms of embracing a technology that might actually be our undoing.
Oh,
yeah, that's like legit for real. What are you thinking, Neil?
Well, I think it goes back to when you talk about Greenpeace and those. I mean, they're, to me, those people that are all about environmental. They're looking at fossil fuels and coal and the pollutants, right? They don't see electricity and those types of sources. They don't see those as a problem. They're just, I don't think they've gotten that bone yet. They're not biting on it. They just don't think about that yet. But no, 100%. I've worked in data centers, and the amount of energy it takes to keep that thing cool, not only to keep it cool, but also to run the servers and those pieces. That is a huge drain on the environment. Plus, then you add in all the EV cars that come into it. So until you really fully build some sort of a fusion/nuclear power that can be renewable or doesn't diminish, it's going to take a toll on the environment. It's going to take a toll on our infrastructure. It's one of those things that we're not there yet. I think AI can happen fast. I don't think our human infrastructure can keep up with it, and so we're going to be the bottleneck, because trying to maintain an energy source, trying to build infrastructure to handle that much stuff through it, I think that's going to be the biggest bottleneck.
Okay, another emotional thing, just moving to a different area is in terms of human engineering, human bioengineering, and that
Neuralink is
that
here.
we want to get rid of we want to be able to genetically engineer people now. You could do that and use those large AI models or generalized whatever.
I have the understanding, not in America, but across the world, people are already doing that. Did you know that?
Well, I know the Chinese, one rogue Chinese doctor did that, researcher, and
I don't think he's the only one.
Yeah. Oh no.
Right?
But I mean, I'm talking about, let's say, profound genetic diseases. That,
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
not
the,
just choosing sex and.
this
things
is the
like-
developing reality. I mean, with Neuralink, we literally have cured. The next is blindness. They're going to be doing chips for blindness, and they've done chips for what is it?
You've really fallen into the hole.
Huh?
You've really fallen into the hole.
I'm deep, man. I told you.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's making me think about all the emotional dynamics, though. I mean, here's another thing.
You're talking about what is possible, and yet you can say, and they might actually even have the science to develop it, but might not. And I think this is what he was talking about. What Neil was talking about is actually having the infrastructure, and that would be able to produce the machines or the computers that would be able to do this. For example, with vision and restoring vision in people. I think it would be a wonderful thing.
It's lovely.
But as long as the AI would know that people are the most important elements, and I think
Who's telling them that?
yeah, yeah.
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 You got thoughts, Neil?
iRobot.
I don't know if I have anything. I just noticed that you were talking about, genetics and all that stuff. They've recently, and this just came out like the last day or two, that they actually produced a baby using three people's genes.
That just came out.
And supposedly the way that they do it, it helps prevent hereditary diseases or something strange. So it's like, it's not
mitochondrial diseases.
right, mitochondrial diseases, exactly. So it's kind of an interesting thing with the science and those pieces, that's kind of where we're now stepping involved in the.
Can you imagine that if they did like with microscopes, they could see a pattern on a mitochondria that has been geoengineered or bioengineered, that would say, okay, Grok, or what do you
Grok
designed
4.
by
Designed by Grok 4 Gen X.
Listen,
Here's why I think this is so fascinating. So many ways. I can't tell you in the history of my life how many times I've had such a dynamic conversation with people when I talk about this as an issue, where I hear things like, that just dropped this week. This just happened yesterday. This was something that occurred that they're going to announce tomorrow. Like, that is super fast.
Well,
it's more like, they're building TV about a year ago. Did you know what happened on the TV program there? That was what way we used to talk.
Okay, 1903.
Right?
1903. What happened? 1903.
Was that when TV came?
No,
that's
it was Wright
that's
brothers.
too early.
Right.
The Wright brothers flew.
1969.
Yeah.
We went to the moon.
Here's the technology
Right.
spin.
Now
arc.
we went on a dog leg, or dog trail, because instead of going out into space, which we probably should have done, and stayed out there, because I think we went counter to our nature, which is to explore. We have kind of wrought the fruits of this horrible dilemma, and I say horrible not in a bad way as much as one where we are not prepared psychologically, spiritually, religion-wise, or even in terms of our institutions, to talk about the possibility that we're no longer going to be needed. We're not going to die by nuclear war. We're going to die and be extinct, made extinct by our AI overlords.
Essentially, right?
Yeah. So,
Here's where I feel like this is primarily one of the reasons why I just wanted to pull an audible and stay with this topic. John, I think the world is going to look at people like, or maybe you and me.
yeah.
For how do we handle this emotionally? What I mean by that is our field needs to be progressively in this discussion, because I don't know the technological pieces. I'm not smart enough to understand mitochondria. I'm a geeky guy who likes weird science and stuff, and I like to check this out and whatever, but that is not my professional expertise. But emotions are. Psychology is managing emotional realities in light of this. People are going to be asking us, what are we going to tell them? How do we cope?
I think we could get a job as therapists to the AI intelligence when they start having emotional breakdowns.
Now, is that a joke or is that a serious statement?
Both.
We're going to be the AI's therapist because they're breaking down. Yeah, I can see that.
There's two things that I kind of thought about that could be very hard for society to deal with. Is either one, AI comes in and you program it to be whatever you think you want it to be, right? You know, the guys who fall in love with the AI chatbots because they say everything, all the right things. They, whatever they look for, they always right. Conforms to what.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other side of this is the complete opposite direction. AI doesn't have emotions, empathy, compassion. What if AI tells it how it is or what it thinks it is, and it doesn't sugarcoat it? It doesn't give compassion to it. It doesn't do a lot of the stuff that it comes into. That kind of goes back to the...
Meaning it doesn't demonstrate the human qualities of emotion?
It doesn't try to sugarcoat like, can't give an answer. The whole alcohol disorder, whatever. Alcohol abuse disorder.
You meet criteria.
Versus,
you're an alcoholic, dude.
Right. So that's the question, right? Either it's going to go one direction, that you build a relationship with this AI because it does everything you think you want. And we obviously know in relationships, if you ever have a wife or girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, you don't like them always telling you like, yes, I'll do that. And you just have no riffs, no anything. I just don't care who you are. That's a boring life. If you're not pushed back by your significant other, it's going to be boring. So AI is going to get one where everyone's going to get whatever they want. How boring is that going to be? The other side is, what if you ask AI questions about something you're having an issue with, and they come back and tell you, well, you're an alcoholic, and it doesn't have the compassion or build the relationship to say, here, let's build trust. And then, oh, by the way, you're an alcoholic, and now you can take it.
Cheerleader. It can't be the one that encourages.
Our original topic tonight.
So those are the two ways I think this could go. Either everyone gets to the point where they expect AI does everything for them that they want, and they don't know how to deal with conflicts, or AI goes the other way and basically has no filter and just tells you what it thinks.
But Neil, I think that's honestly what I'm getting at, in that from my limited tech knowledge and ability, we don't, even in the context of our conversation, I feel like we don't really have a context of understanding what we're trying to deal with, because I think I'm tracking with you, and right now, all that human beings have ever experienced is the first version. It mirrors back at us. It tells us what we want to hear. It is designed to do nothing but, like we were talking, John, with your voice in writing something. Mm-hmm. It doesn't know your voice unless you have spoken to it and read your words, and then it knows you. Now it can give it back to you, but it can't do that beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay, that's changing. That's flipping on its lid, because there is no more of that really, really soon after we get artificial general intelligence. It is going to be doing whatever it thinks it needs to do, Neil, and it's not going to have the emotional things. But more importantly, we do have our emotions, and we're interacting with this whole platform that is literally not alive, but going to be creating new thoughts. It's no longer just mirroring you. When we get to that next level, 6 months or a year from now is what they're talking about, it's dropping.
Yeah. Okay.
I know you think I'm crazy on a little bit,
No,
John,
you're not crazy, but
But I think it goes back too when you look at the
Crazy.
logical side of like AI, you think about, the story of, the people who are brain dead and you have to pull the plug. AI would look at that saying, "Oh, well, they have these vital organs. There's people on the donor list. You should just pull the plug because the percentages of that person coming out of it are 0.000 blah blah blah." And no compassion, just logic, right? There's always that risk. So
Right.
that's the thing you have to look at. And so while there's, the artificial general intelligence, someone still has to have some sort of a guiding point to say, what is the purpose of what I'm saying? And is it about compassion? Is it about logic, right? Where does it balance the two pieces? So the concern is that with this artificial general intelligence, what is it going to be factoring itself? What is it going to be factoring its decisions based on, right? As a general intelligence, what's the compass that guides it to say what's right or wrong?
You know how I'm going to fight all this?
Going to the basement.
I'm gonna upload my consciousness into the AI, and then I'll be able to run
Live forever.
havoc. Live forever and run havoc.
That's a ways off probably, but maybe not so much. Let me focus us in around our human
Tongue in cheek.
experience
Yeah.
rather than what the ethics are and the computing and whatnot. Because I don't know. I just like to center us in on how are we going to cope with this? How do we kind of manage the changes that are essentially here? For instance, what is our reaction as humans? Are we going to fall in love with robots?
Well,
Right? Do we feel more lonely or more connected? We have a little bit of the answer to that with social media. Do we struggle, or how do we manage our own identity if our jobs are changing? What are that's what I'm getting at. Like,
I'm going to go back to classical Rome.
I think I love this. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, they became prosperous. After the Second and Third Punic War, Rome became very prosperous, and there was a minority that, which were the nobility or the patricians, that they could buy anything, they could do anything. And we think of Elon Musk as the richest man in the world. There were people that just would blow him out of the water in terms of the difference between. Relatively speaking, didn't have the technology.
Wait, in Roman times they would blow Elon out? What I don't follow.
What I'm saying is in terms of comparative to wealth. Okay.
Oh, you mean they were wealthier financial.
Okay. But they could do anything. They lost purpose, they lost direction. And
Did they?
So,
Tell me more
and
about
so
that.
There was a sense of losing the edge of in other words, everything was provided for them, and that is, we're talking about the patricians.
Because they were wealthy Romans.
Wealthy. Well, they had slaves to do everything, and so I'm looking at computers.
Wow.
Yeah. So our slavery was different, obviously, and to our detriment in the United States, in America, and in the world during the 19th century.
Yeah, we weren't the only one.
But the way that slavery was done is it was commodities that basically they would run businesses for the emperors and for the senators and the equestrians and all the folks that were there, the wealthy merchants, and so everything was done for them, and it was basically inherited wealth, but people lost their direction or purpose in life. And so I'm thinking that this would be I think it would be such a detriment to us as a civilization where we all have income and all this stuff.
I want to jump in and come back to you, because what I'm hearing you say, and then I have a question, is that interestingly, and your experience of history, John, is amazing. So I love that you're going here. So in Roman times, certain group of people, probably a large group of people, did really, really well, got really, really wealthy, and had people doing pretty much everything for them, so that their identity was really markedly different.
Yeah.
And so is this history repeating itself? My question is going
technology's different, but history's it
repeating.
resembles.
It resembles. So what happened? What happened with these rich
Ultimately,
Romans
in
and stuff, right?
476, Rome fell. Rome declined, inexorably declined, and lost its moral direction. When Christianity became the state religion, people were blaming Christianity for it. No, what Christianity did was actually give people a purpose again, but it was too late. The empire had gotten old. The institutions could not be revived, and everything that had been predicated on a slave economy and a mercantile economy was basically ripe for the taking. And so the barbarians came from the north, and the reason why they call them barbarians is from a Greek word which it was Babel,
Babel, yeah.
yeah. So when the Goths and the Visigoths came down and from Germany, the Germanic people, they just took over. Basically, they lost the ability to fight.
So do I hear you saying that
Romans did.
humans in a similar situation in that time period that resembles some of what we're talking about, the humans really just couldn't cope? Lost their moral compass,
They
lost their
lost
functioning,
their purpose.
and their purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing I keep hitting.
Okay,
on
I'm
with you
gonna
guys.
really challenge your brain with this.
Okay. All right.
What can we learn from that and apply today? Wow, go.
Okay. We have to, because the way I get it from you, the rabbit hole, okay, is that it's too late already.
Ooh, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Well, I heard that.
Okay, that might be what I'm saying.
I heard fear. Okay. We can, I think, reclaim some of the reins and put in guardrails that we would be able to say that this is what it means to be human, and we need to be up to the task and say this is what it means to be human, and that these tools are to serve us. We are not to serve them, and that these tools are to help improve life and make life better for people, and that people are going to be the highest. That we don't, I think the temptation,
Acquiesce to their position
right,
or whatever.
Yeah, good
like
word.
an us and them
acquiescence.
sort
Yeah.
of thing.
And that is that we also realize, and this is one thing that I was thinking about with you, and I'm challenging again, like Rome, okay, is that you're saying this as though it's in the entire world. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and of which 1 billion people, perhaps, not even that, 500 million people are privileged.
It's probably
we're
less
privileged.
than that.
Yeah, we're the ones that are privileged.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so we're looking at this as a global problem, when in fact maybe it's
Oh, wow.
people like
the Romans.
like the Romans,
Really just
like the Roman
leadership.
patricians, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So this is not a third world problem developing. That's what maybe a little bit
that's
what you're
I
saying.
think, except if we have those data farms that work and make so much heat that might affect our ecology.
Let me just be genuine for a moment and see what it is that I am feeling about this. It's interesting that you say I felt fear. I think I feel fear, if that's the word, about people being fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And wouldn't it be awesome if we could get in front of that and embrace this stuff so that people aren't tripping out when dramatic changes are going to start happening? Because these dramatic changes are going to start happening really fast.
Yeah.
And our psychology cannot keep up with already what we know as being social media.
Our
You know?
closest relatives are in the Amazon rainforest that are untouched tribes, and we have the same brain that they have. And when they're brought into the 21st century, it's overwhelming.
They can't handle it.
Right.
You literally, and we know that when something like that sort of overwhelm happens, literally people become psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
They become delusional and
Like
hallucinating.
AI, it's hallucinating.
Yeah, it's like that, and that's not from acid. right? There's this is the emotional response.
Yeah.
So I just wonder about how people are going to be able to cope, John. When we lose our identity or things change so dramatically, just take finances. You mentioned the economy changing. Like, how do people, these are questions, and I guess we're not obviously going to have answers, but I feel like our field's going to be needing to give answers. How do we handle all of the emotions wrapped around money when the economy and a world economy completely changes? Like,
or purpose changes because
your purpose.
Why do you need money?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to give you credits like on Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
I just know we're rapidly going somewhere because it's been a long time since the internet came out, and a long time in the matter of years, and it was centuries when we got technology upgrades, and we're about ready to be on the precipice of another huge one, and the biggest one.
Okay, here's the other thought, and that is, what if AI farms us so that we don't have that developed sense of curiosity, and we get domesticated. Domesticated animals basically have smaller brains. Wolves have larger brains than dogs, and with cats, not feral cats, but wild cats in nature.
This
have
is wild, John. This is
proportionally
psychology based.
Larger brains than the domesticated cats.
Really?
Yeah. So, because you need more of your senses when there's danger, a possibility of doing that, or you're looking for prey.
I really don't even know what to say to that. I'm glad you're going for the mic, Neil.
Well, it goes back to muscles, right? Your brain is something that you have to use. If you look at people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hulk Hogan now, big guys, and then when they were younger, they were working out. They haven't worked out like they used to. They're smaller than they were. Same thing with the brains. The more you use it, the more wrinkles you have. You're not as smooth, and it's going to be, that's the problem you have. That's why ChatGPT, when you rely on AI for everything, right, and you don't use your brain power, you're gonna, once again, you just lose how to function it. So going back to the animals, when you don't have to have those survival instincts, and that's a part of your brain that's not used anymore, it's gonna shrink. That's just the way that it is. So,
but it's funny. I'm listening to you, Neil, there, and it's funny, John. You said that you heard fear in my presentation, and
sorry,
no, it's fine, because I'm sure that it's there. But listening to you there, Neil, it's almost kind of like I personally don't get as much fearful about technology in the sense that we adapt. Like, we're not going to stop using our brains. I don't feel like we're going to have our brains go to pea brains and literally, like, be domesticated. That seems, I'm curious, John, but I can see that as a possibility. I think instead it's going to change.
Well, I'm talking about the AI overlords.
Yeah, well, that's...
going back to the Matrix, where we're the batteries.
Yeah, right, that's right. It kind of was going to the Matrix batteries.
But here's my question, too. Like, I'm thinking AI is like a medication, right? You find a way to make it supplemental in your life to help you, as John pointed out, which was great. AI is a tool, right? Don't let it run your life. Use it as a tool, right? How many people start medication and they never get off of it because they start relying on the medication?
Yeah,
it's that same basic idea, right?
Yeah,
Once you
true.
start using it, there's going to be a handful of people that they get. Once again, social media is the same thing. Big flood of people use social media because of the endorphins, because it's awesome, because you're connected with people, blah, blah, blah. Handful don't get on it. They don't ever get involved with it. The handful stop using it because they realize, okay, I'm tired of this. Let's move on, right? But there's always that small subset that says, I'm still on it. I'm still hooked on it. In the terms of what my younger teenager says, he's like, you get brain rot. That's what he calls like Gen A, I think is what he says. Like, they have brain rot because all they do is watch YouTube and shorts and TikTok and all that other stuff, right? It's that same concern, right? You go into it is what's the percentage of the population that will have brain rot? What's the percentage that's going to ride the wave and get hooked on it, but then get off? And then what's the percentage that's actually going to use it as a tool and actually find ways to excel with it, right?
Okay. Opiates, for example, they're essential for treating people with chronic conditions.
Because they're useful.
Useful, or if you're having an operation, or
I want them.
That sort of thing. But there are people that become addicted to it, and
Oh gosh,
So,
there's a whole another expression. I mean, we talk about addiction on the show. I mean, we don't get addicted to social media. I think we've kind of clarified that. I don't think there's much danger of addiction with AI and whatnot.
no,
Really,
you want like the people
but
that develop a relationship with themselves essentially, and it's self love. That was one of the little areas that I was going into as well. Is that we become as gods, and of course, like a Roman emperor, declare themselves gods and actually
yeah,
start believing it. And
I don't know how you don't, John. And I mean, I don't think that everyone's going to be walking around thinking they're a god per se, but I am worried. Maybe that's a better word than fear. I am terribly worried about the human development in the context of what all rapid changes in the next even few years or 5 to 10 years are going to be. And
yeah.
we're not going to recognize the things that are going on now. We're not going to recognize
I
it.
was born in a coal camp
Yeah.
in southeastern Kentucky.
Yeah,
where
West
the-
Virginia. I'm your
which-
brother.
Where heating was done with coal
Yeah.
and coal ash. And I
Oh, yeah.
remember smelling that stuff. And
We had black sprinkles in the snow at the bus stop because the dude up at the top of the hill used coal to warm his house.
well, that's what we had too.
Yeah.
And I remember I didn't think there was. I thought all snow had black specks in it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but
But and now we're talking about totally different power. I mean, electronically driven vehicles and self-driven automated whatever and all. It's just, I don't know where to go with it in this conversation to think about how are we going to cope.
I think therapy might be able to use powerful learning models that would help teach us to become better therapists. But I think there still has to be that human factor, the human touch, that has to be there. And you talked about empathy, and that's something that you can't program or AI can program into itself, and have that, even if there is some sort of limited self-awareness. I'm wondering if that is that divine spark that we have that would separate us from something that is, as much as it would like to be, is a mechanical device, is an automaton, not in terms of, or a simulant, but not something that is in essence human.
Do you think on a super macro level, like we're talking about, that human beings have the ability to value and love themselves to that level? Because I'm fearful, worried is a better word, that we don't.
Okay.
That,
Would
that-
you unpack that just a little bit?
I'll try. I think about human beings with their insecurities. I think about human beings with our fears. I think about human beings with our fickle emotions, which can really lie to us. That's a chapter in the book, right?
Right.
Emotions can lie to you. I mean, insecurities make
Feelings
us
are not
delusional.
facts.
Feelings are not facts. We have a lot of phrases like that, and I wonder about / worry about human beings' ability to manage this level of life disruption that people are talking about.
Do you think people would, we talked about completing suicide, would actually choose to take their lives?
I do. I worry about that.
And that we would also develop devices that would make it, like Kevorkian did
Yeah.
20 years ago. And then there's the Swiss that have these suicide machines now.
I definitely am fearful of that. That's ultimately not coping, completing suicide.
So it's just
And-
ultimate despair.
Or despair off the chain. Confusion about who I am and what am I supposed to do. I mean, John, we're looking at potentially a way of humanity operating without having to work.
Okay. There is a sense that I think the answer is with religion. I think
okay.
is in spirituality. I think that, and I'm not just.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
As someone who's from a Christian point of view or Judeo-Christian point of view, it's not just that. It's also I would say Buddhist. and other disciplines, Sufism in Islam, uh, in other religions as well, world religions, there is that sense of the need for contemplation, meditation, and a sense of putting yourself in perspective, and that you have that discipline, that that we reclaim that to get away from the materialism, and that we develop deep and profound spiritual sensibilities.
I think we might even have to go that direction, John, or ultimately be faced with perishing, because if you think about, what just popped in my mind as I was listening to you, those movies that have like, aliens are coming, the spaceship is there, and people go to the top of the Empire State Building, and they're up there
Independence
on the roof.
Day.
Independence
My
Day, man.
favorite movie.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Absolutely. They're up there, they're partying, and they're getting crazy. They're all wild, and they're all excited. And you could feel it when you watch those.
And of course, it was the sort of the all the showgirls that were going up there, the people that were hedonistic.
To a certain extent, I don't think humans can handle it because we're on that level. I mean, I guess I'm really doubtful about our ability to do what you were just describing in a religiously grounded and mindful,
some people have done
thoughtful way. Well, the monks are one, but I'm not a monk, so I'm worried about myself, maybe.
Well, there might need to be a sense of reclaiming that, such like the Amish or the Hutterites or the Mennonites.
I mean, for real. I wonder. Real. There's a major shift that's coming. I appreciate you hanging with us with this audible that I think I pulled, but it's going to be. I just felt like this isn't. You can't do this in a current event 5-minute conversation if you're going to try to give any justice to brand new ideas and things coming. That again, that aren't coming, that are here. I mean, this is what I've kind of realized in the last few weeks, is that we're really not talking about development. We're talking about coping and handling what's here.
So it's now.
It's now. And it's changing us now. I mean, one of the clickbait YouTube things I remember said, this is our last year of normalcy. We're going to look back in 5 years ago, and it's like, remember when everything was normal? And I thought that was a little bit bombastic and kind of crazy, but maybe not. maybe not. Maybe there is these changes that when we start getting new alloys, new medical interventions, new answers to hormones, how long would it take an AI general intelligence, not AI super intelligence, the down version, the one that we're really, really on just about now, to map the hormonal endocrine system, to understand all of the complexities of combined hormones? How many answers do we get to fix mental health?
Okay, the ghost in the machine is that spark, which I think is our humanity and our consciousness. And I don't know if you can, and again, I'll reiterate it, I am skeptical that that can be computed, and even with is beyond my wildest imaginations how fast quantum computing is something that is.
Wait, are you saying you do not think it's calculatable to map the endocrine system and understand the combinations of hormones?
Talking about our consciousness.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
It makes us. We can do that. We probably could program all sorts of
conscious and subconscious experience?
No, I think we can.
I'm sorry, I got lost.
Okay, I think we cannot map. We cannot replicate or map what the essence, the essential of humanness, human consciousness.
Correct,
There is a sense there that it is beyond even the functioning of our processes. So this is where I would go away from our Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, folks. That's
a podcast that John and I both like.
Yeah, I don't think it's containable in 3 pounds of gray matter, white matter.
Hmm.
I think it's more than that. It's beyond that, and it's something that is the expression of our consciousness is through what we have here.
You know what's interesting? There really is a lot of religious implications in people's faith traditions and such, John. Because I think if you take religion out of the mix, I do not think human beings understand at all their subconsciousness and the depth of the reality of their specialness that you just created. Take the religious community as the other group, and I would submit to you that a certain high percentage of folks that understand some aspects of religion, whichever faith tradition you might be talking about, are not deep enough into it to where they can really understand and value themselves that way, which leaves probably a relatively small percentage of people that do have religious characteristics that would enable them to understand that level of specialness, because you just went deep on that. You just went deep on that. Neil, you need to go ahead and share your thought, and then we're going to need to wrap up a little bit. What were you thinking?
I tried. You went down those holes.
Yeah,
I think
this is a little.
Well, I think part of things going back to if you go into religious or a higher power is there is that gray white matter that we have no clue about. That when you have artificial intelligence that's designed by us, but not designed by those that designed us, there's things that we don't know that unless we put it in the system, it doesn't know about it. So that's one of those bigger pictures that you start looking at that.
blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because that's the part I start. Because there's a lot of stuff that we don't even understand yet. That I mean, artificial intelligence can kind of analyze a little bit more than what we know, but it's still based on the idea like, yeah, it could map out your endocrine system and your hormones and all those pieces and calculate interactions, stuff like that. But when it comes to the consciousness and those pieces and how do we take those things and we add the mirroring neurons and the empathy and the moral compass that comes with it that we have on other things, right? It's hard to justify all those additional pieces. So it's just one of those things where AI is, I think, always going to miss that piece because we're the creatures, not the creator of who we are. So we don't even understand everything about ourselves. How are we going to put in an artificial intelligence to really understand every piece? And so that's a scary part.
That is
when
wild.
you're missing a big component of it.
You know, I actually feel more optimistic.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me just now listening to Neil.
Neil,
I agree.
he's the one that gets the. He wins the.
Should we just give him the shrink? Neil, you are the official winner of the shrink wrap up, or what do we call it? The
First time. Yeah.
Yay, Neil.
Bang! Seriously, that is that is the shrink wrap up. Yeah, that's a mic drop. I'm impressed with that, Neil. So listen, yeah, I'll just zoom us out of here on that note because that really does get you thinking, and I will think about that a lot, Neil, for the next. The next YouTube deep dive I take tonight when I should be sleeping. But no, seriously, we did pull an audible on you, and I hope that we didn't upset you, bait you, and switch you. I saw Neil put some things out there. This was an AI and psychology discussion, and we probably need to do it again. And
I think there was also the philosophical. So psychological, philosophical.
Neil, retitle this the philosophical AI, philosophy and psychology. How about that? Oh, well, we'll come up with something.
Or, so there's all sorts of things, science.
All right. Well, I'm going to take it out there because Neil won the shrink wrap up, and